The first one was a really terrible infection throughout my own body in my mid-30s, where I had visible lumps up and down my arms, down my sides, down my legs. I couldn't even put my arms down because it was painful. So I concluded that I had lymphoma. It was not correct, thank God, but it was close. So anyway, I went to my internist. I lived in Northern California at the time. I went to my internist, and he sent me to every specialist he could think of. There was exotic disease guy. There was the cancer people. There were, and everybody, anybody, any specialization that he thought might be able to zero in on what was happening within my body. And none of them could. So I happened to be working with a guy at the time who said to me, what have you got to lose? You need to come to my acupuncturist with me. And by that time, I had been feeling poorly for so long, and I was in pain, and it looked so horrible. I said, okay, why not? And so off I went to the acupuncturist, and she stabbed one of those lumps to see what was inside. And she said, I don't care what you call it. You have infection all over your body. So she gave me an acupuncture treatment, and it was the first of maybe 3 or 4. I can't exactly remember. I did go back to her a couple times. And then she sent me next door to her brother, who was also a doctor. He was an herbalist, and he gave me the most gruesome herbs you could smell or taste, and instructed me to have only vegetable smoothies made with organic vegetables, as much garlic and as much onion as I could tolerate. But the good news was I could have it as many times a day as I wanted. Which
I guess that's good news.
I guess that was good news. There wasn't a lot of other good news. Anyway, it was miraculous. It was miraculous. Overnight, those lumps started to disappear. And within days, I was back to normal, feeling good, looking normal. So I went back to my internist, and I asked him to give me an exam and tell me what he thought. And when I told him, he said, he was absolutely astonished. What have you done? I said, I did acupuncture and herbs. He said, wow. Then he said something interesting. He said, I think there's a place for Eastern medicine, and I think there's a place for Western medicine. The latter being when your body can no longer fight for itself. It's not a bad answer. Maybe I don't totally agree with it, but it's not a bad answer. Anyway, that was the first thing that I started realizing, that there were other ways of approaching this besides take a pill, have some radiation, maybe some surgery. There were other ways of approaching it. That was my first real brush. Then I moved to Los Angeles, and I had a golden retriever at the time, and she was very, very ill when we got here. And I took her to multiple vets since I didn't have one yet. And they all said the same thing. She's 13 years old. She's a big dog. Just put her down. And I just couldn't. So I finally found a holistic vet who seemed to be practicing sort of voodoo medicine, as far as I could tell. He used some known approaches, acupuncture, chiropractic, but he also used vibrations. He used sound. I had never seen anything like it. So of course I asked him a billion questions, and he was very generous with his time and his knowledge. And he told me about 2 scientists that he had been studying and what he thought they were onto, which is this electrical basis of life. And so my dog recovered and lived for another 3 years and died at 16.